This presentation is on the environmental and cultural factors that cause health disparities in foster care children. When it comes to foster care children, the media is completely wrong with how they portray these children. Think about these words: delinquent, orphaned, troubled, aggressive, and neglected. These words are all used in terms of foster care children. These are stereotypes that these children face. The media has always reflected foster children in a very negative way, especially on TV. They are portrayed as either being poorly disadvantaged with a crippling struggle, or they are these miracle children because they actually achieve some level of success, like it's a surprise. All of this affects foster care children. It takes a toll on their feelings of acceptance because they see themselves being reflected nowhere in society. They become ashamed of their identity since all they see are the sad, abnormally fragile children who are filled with problems. They spend their life feeling like they have a secret that they can never be liberated from. Media tells foster care children that these secrets make them uncomfortable, which makes them keep themselves hidden. As far as family support in foster care children, more often than not, these children lack the support. In some cases, these children get the support that they need. They need this family support because these children are often victims from abuse and neglect. They are children who want to live a normal life, who want to play and laugh with other children. Family support will be able to help the health of these children. Most of these children are coming from difficult or harmful environments. They can have health issues, behavioral issues, and some will struggle with learning disabilities. Family support can be beneficial in all of these aspects, but accepting the children and understanding what they have been through is highly critical. When a foster child does not have family support, it can impact the child in the long run. Without the support and love, the child will not form necessary and healthy attachments with others, resulting in a number of attachment disorders. Emotional difficulties can occur. These include lack of self-worth, trust, and the need to be in control often result in the lack of unconditional and healthy love. Most of the children in foster care face an enormous amount of emotional issues, but family support can help minimize these. Peer relationships are important for the developmental and mental function of the child who have been placed in foster care. Recent research suggests that interactions with peers facilitates children's cognitive, moral, affective, and social development. Research also suggests that foster care children exhibit social behavioral patterns that undermine their relationships with peers. Another reason why relationships with peers is so important is because studies show that problematic relationships are related to a variety of adjustment and mental health problems. It is alarming to hear the statistics about kids who age out of the foster care system. 20% of kids in foster care who turn 18 instantly become homeless. Less than half graduated high school and have less than $100 to try to begin their independent life. They are 9 times less likely to graduate from college than their peers. Many end up in jail or pregnant by the age of 21. The effects of trauma on separation result in PTSD. The brains of children removed from their home and their parents are damaged, stunting proper growth and reverting to survival functions. The system itself leads to psychological homelessness as kids are passed between families and homes. The vast majority of children placed in foster care have been in at least 2 homes the first year and have more than a third of them that have been in more than 5 elementary schools. Without stable relationships, the brain cannot function. These kids, behind in school, suffering from trauma without any stable relationship, turn 18 and are expected to make the same choices as their peers who get degrees, jobs, homes, spouses. This is what is ignoring the statistical nature of poverty and foster care. Many of the children in foster care have parents who are also in foster care. 70% of girls who age out of the system are pregnant by 21, but do not have the resources to raise the child. Many of the reasons for removal of children are related to poverty, such as lack of transportation or food or adequate housing. Then the child gets removed, which leads to trauma, mental health issues, unemployment, poverty. The cycle starts again. There are no breaks in the cycle of poverty or trauma. A new federal law propelled by the belief that children in difficult homes nearly always fare best with their parents effectively blew up the nation's troubled foster care system. A massive spending bill was passed and signed by by Donald Trump last year. This bill forces states to overhaul their foster care systems by changing the rules for how they can spend their annual $8 billion in federal funds for child abuse prevention. The law, called the Family First Prevention Services Act, prioritizes keeping families together and puts more money towards at-home parenting class, mental health counseling, and substance treatment, and puts limit on placing children in an institutional setting such as group homes. Overall, it is a really significant reform for families with emphasis on helping kids stay safe with families and helping vulnerable families get help earlier. It also helps with the rising number of foster care children. It helps with this by focusing on prevention, which allows children to stay with their families if the circumstances are right. There are some concerns across the states about these changes. Some states rely heavily on group homes and fear that now they won't have enough money to pay for them. This is because the new law caps the amount of time a child can spend in a group home. The government is now only paying states for 2 weeks of a child's stay in a group home. Another concern is that in some states, state officials are concerned that the limits on group homes will cost countries too much because they will have to start shipping in their money for certain children. Youth who are transitioning to adulthood need to have well-developed self-esteem and self-efficacy skills that equip them to manage relationships in multiple contexts, including education and employment settings, as well as family and friends. More often than not, foster children have lived through multiple traumas and disruptive events by the time they transition to adulthood. These life experiences can create some challenges, which cause them to be more vulnerable within a community. These barriers are the following: unstable housing or homelessness. Foster care children are half as likely to pay a mortgage or rent compared to their peers. Lack of education, elementary, and lack of adequate elementary and secondary education. Foster children face many obstacles during their educational journeys that hinder their ability to graduate or even receive a diploma. Lack of employment and job training. Many foster children lack the skills required to hold a steady job. Problems with physical and behavioral health and general well-being. Foster children report higher incidences of health problems and mental health disorders. Justice system involvement. Foster children have a greater risk of being involved with the criminal justice system due to lack of support networks, low employment skills, and unstable living arrangements. Lastly, lack of social connections. Foster care children are less likely to develop a strong connection to a trusted adult. As far as where in the world foster care children are in danger or shunned, not one area can be named. This is because foster care children are in danger across the entire world. Cases of foster children abuse and neglect have been reported everywhere. However, some states in the United States are shunning foster parents, which are putting children without homes. This is occurring by some states passing laws allowing child welfare agencies with religious affiliations to use sincerely held religious beliefs to prevent children from being fostered and adopted by qualified families. They are turning away interfaith couples, single parents, gays, and couples where one spouse has been divorced. If the states cannot find their definition of a perfect family, the children will have no family to go to. The states who have been using these laws are Alabama, Mississippi, Kansas, Michigan, Oklahoma, North Dakota, South Dakota, Virginia, and Texas. Socioeconomic status affects overall human functioning, including physical and mental health. In foster children, a low socioeconomic status correlates to lower educational achievement, poverty, and poor health. It also shows it's linked to foster families' well-being with increased abuse and neglect. Lastly, low socioeconomic status in foster children have proven to have negative psychological health outcomes such as higher levels of emotional and behavioral difficulties, higher rates of depression, anxiety, attempted suicide, and drug use. And low socioeconomic status shows its link to increased abuse and neglect. According to the Administration for Children and Families, more than half of the children entering the foster care system were children of color. The Children's Bureau reported that African American and Native American children are present at double the rate in out-of-home foster care as they are in the general U.S. population. Also, findings from the Adoption and Foster Care Analysis and Reporting System revealed that the average length of stay in foster care for African American children were 29 months, 7 months longer than the average stay. Children of color suffer differential treatment in foster care system. They are less likely to receive the mental health services they need. They are more likely to have fewer visits with their parents and siblings. They are less likely to receive services designed to reunify them with their family, and they are less likely to have contact with their foster care caseworker. All of these factors make children of color in foster care at an increased risk for health disparities. Religion can have a positive effect on health outcomes of foster care children. This is because religious affiliations could provide social networks with peers and adults, morale directives, and coping strategies. In addition, religious affiliations have shown to improve health outcomes by decrease psychopathological, behavioral problems, and even conflicts in the family. Studies have been conducted to see if health outcomes within foster care children are different based on gender. There was a study where the sample was of female and male foster children who were removed from home for reasons of neglect, parental inability to caretake, and reasons of abuse. They attended a long-term weekly psychotherapy for an average of 2.9 years and demonstrated a variety of mental health symptoms. Findings suggested that the sample as a whole experienced significant reductions in depression, anxiety, dissociative symptoms, sleep problems, school problems, aggression, violence, and peer relationship problems. Although the study showed an overall reduction in symptoms, there were no significant differences in total symptom outcomes between the genders. These results indicate that males and females may present with different severity of symptoms at the start and the end of treatment, but that there are no significant decreases in the effectiveness of treatment. Geography can affect foster children's health outcome. This is because depending on the location, these children can have no access to community-based resources. They can also be exposed to different chemicals or environmental factors that affect their health. Another big reason is because when medical care is needed, some children have no care within close distances that they are able to travel to. Telehealth can be beneficial for children in foster care. This is because it expands and enables access to healthcare services that may otherwise be unavailable. These services can include mental health services or specialty care that is often needed in foster children. Telehealth is also beneficial to help reduce the burden of travel for foster families who are in certain communities. Implicit biases are unconscious associations, beliefs, or attitudes towards any social group. As far as they go against foster care children, they are viewed as troubled, aggressive, and uneducated. Explicit biases are attitudes or beliefs that we have about a person or group on a conscious level. This happens when those who are wanting to become foster parents end up not being one due to the fact that they believe the foster children would cause problems and affect their own children. Overall, foster care children are faced with these disparities across the entire world. Every country in the world is responsible for these children being faced with these disparities. Overall, foster care children are faced with these disparities because of how the foster care system is run, which is the same everywhere. Ideally, there may be some areas where children get treatment sooner, but there are no statistics on where this might occur.